Greetings and salutations, it is I, Jan Michael, and today what we will do is go over my Oscar predictions, this time for February of 2023. Alright, enough of that voice. So, welcome to my penultimate Oscar predictions, and for this month I thought I would do something very fun. Now, since in a few weeks I'm going to be giving you my final Oscar predictions, I thought, why waste this month's video with just doing predictions that is most likely going to be pretty much similar to next month's predictions. So I decided, let's have some fun. Let's go over the ones that if I were voting, what would I pick? I'm actually going to be going through every category and I'm going to be ranking them in the order that I would vote for them. I'll give a little bit of reason as to why I would choose ones over others, but for the most part, this will be a quick little video about if I were the one who was marking it off on my ballot, what would I pick? So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into Best Picture. Best Picture should come as no surprise. It's Everything Everywhere All at Once. I've been talking about how much I've loved this film from the very beginning. I'm actually surprised that the film that I had at my number one has lasted all the way till the very end. But yeah, I think it's that great. I'm glad nothing else really came out to dethrone it. There have been times that I got close and I played with the possibility of bringing it down, but I think overall this was always just a solid number one to have in that spot. And yeah, I'm on board. This is my number one as well. This is what I would vote for. It's my favorite film of last year. I've seen it a ton of times already. I've shown it to a lot of people. I've still got more people I want to show it to. So it's a film I can easily rewatch and be entertained by. And I always discover something new, which is I love those type of films where you can see it again. You catch something you didn't catch the previous time. And more than that, I mean, it has a solid premise, great characters, great dramatic moments. It's funny. The performances are outstanding. So yeah, to me, this is the overall package. I hope it wins. I would be voting for it if I got a chance to vote. Now, if that one didn't take home the win, I think a great follow-up would be The Banshees of Inisherin. This is a film that when I first saw it, I thought was just a solid flick and nothing more. But afterwards, the more time passed, the more I felt my mind kind of go back into it and wanting to dissect kind of that descent into madness. I thought the characters were very interesting. I thought it was very funny. So yeah, I think overall this would be a solid Best Picture win as well. Number 3 for me would be Top Gun Maverick, which I know sounds weird, especially if you see my previous videos and how critical I've been of that movie. But I think when you're talking to general audiences and out of all these films, which one they would watch over and over again, I think a good amount of them would say Top Gun Maverick. And I understand. You know, it's just a solid action flick that you can show to anyone and they would be entertained. And as such, if it were to win and I were to kind of go back into it to do just a critical analysis, I know I would be entertained, and I know a lot of other of you would also be entertained as well. So yeah, I don't think it would be a terrible win. Personally, I need a little bit more to a film winning Best Picture than just that, but I can't say I would be like greatly upset if that one took home the win. So that's just my opinion on that one. Tar is my number 4, though personally I like it more than Top Gun Maverick. So I know it's kind of one of those weird things, but I think Tar is one of those films that is one that Oscar people like you or I could easily rewatch and dissect and really go into it. And most general audiences would probably watch it once and then just be done with it. So I don't know, that's just kind of what I'm thinking when I'm kind of voting for these, is what works best for everyone involved. Instead of just, oh, what do I personally like and nothing more. Like, I'd like to kind of look at the overall picture. So Tar, I think, would still be a very solid win. Number 5, I would have All Quiet on the Western Front. I do think this is a very good picture. I've seen a lot of people kind of go, it's fine, it's solid, but it's nothing more than that. And I thought I was in the minority here. I was like, no, I really enjoyed that one. I love the whole look at the war. I know it's things that we've seen multiple times before, but I like looking at it from the German perspective, actually it being in German. I like the scenes of the war, the tank scenes, like going in and seeing the dead bodies in that warehouse. Like, all those moments are the ones that stick out to me and really left an impact. And just shows how strong of a directing the film did have. So for me, I really enjoyed it. I get if it's one that's harder for other people to go into, just because it is about war, but I don't think this would be a bad Best Picture win. Moving into my bottom five, I would do The Fabelmans next. I do think it's a solid film. Maybe not one that I think a lot of people can go back and rewatch over and over again, but I don't think this is a bad Spielberg film. And I know there's been a lot of backlash with it lately. I think part of it is the whole Michelle Williams getting nominated, Best Actress debacle, but I do think it's a good movie and one that I think most people would enjoy, even if it's one that I personally would rewatch, and I don't think a lot of others would either. Women Talking at number 7. I did finally get a chance to see this, and I kind of feel the same way about it as I do with The Fabelmans, where I think it's a solid film. It's entertaining to a degree. Mind you, it's a very serious topic, so I know enjoyment is going to be limited based on who's watching it. But I think it's a film you could easily watch and appreciate, and then you're kind of done after that. Like, I didn't feel any sort of impulse to go watch it again. Unlike Banshees, this didn't stick in my mind long after watching it. And so, while I do think it's a good film, I think I understand a little bit better why it ended up missing a lot of nominations. Not just here, but in just critic circles in general. So, I'll get a little bit more into it once I finally do my review of it. But just know that I don't think it's bad. I don't think it would be a terrible win. It's just one that I don't really care about going back into. So, again, personal choices here. Number 8 would be Triangle of Sadness. I get that this is one that a lot of people really did enjoy. I thought it was fine. I liked it for the most part, but good lord, does it go on far too long. Like, when they get to that island, it stays so long there, and it keeps going on and on and on. I'm like, okay, all right, cool, I get it. Let's move on, please. So, I don't know, that to me kind of killed the momentum of the film and kind of left me leaving the theater going, oh, God, I don't want to sit through that again. So, that's me personally there. 9 and 10, honestly, these might as well be the same number because I think the exact same of both of them. They're fine. They're fine. I don't care much for them. It's personal reasons. I understand there's things about them that a lot of other people really enjoy and really like, but I think they're fine. There's nothing more to it than that. We've seen these type of films a million times before, and while Avatar is very pretty to look at, which is the only reason I give it a slight edge above Elvis, I need more than that to really enjoy a film. Of course, if Everything Everywhere All at Once is my choice for Best Picture, you best damn well believe I have the Daniels at my number 1 for Director. It's an obvious choice, not just because it's my favorite, but because of what that movie did. I mean, you watch that movie, you understand why Director should come along with it. Apart from that, Martin McDonagh, Todd Field, I think would be both really good alternatives. I think you could easily swap these in and out. I just put Martin McDonagh just because I like Banshees slightly better than Tar, but I think Tar with Todd Field is also a really good choice. Steven Spielberg, I wouldn't be angry if he took home the award. I get wanting to give him another one. It's been a long time. He's one of the most celebrated directors of all time, so you kind of want him to have the acclaim, the trophies, and all that stuff to go with it. I don't think he needs another one. I mean, he's won plenty. He knows how awesome he is, so I don't think another trophy needs to be given to him to prove that, but I get it. And then Ruben Östlund for Triangle of Sadness is at my very bottom, just because, again, I wasn't a huge fan of the movie, so I know this is probably where we're going to differ. Maybe some people have him higher. Personally, I think he'd be the last person I would vote for. Oh boy, now we're getting into actress. The big one, the one that everybody's talking about right now. I'll kind of give my 2 cents on it, but I won't go too deeply into it just because, again, that's not what the purpose of this video is. But before we get in there, my number 1, Michelle Yeoh. I think she definitely deserves it. I think she's excellent. I don't know if she's ever going to get another chance like this again. So for me, I'm always thinking of things like that, especially how you saw the other nominees going. So even more so, it solidifies my take that she needs to take home the win. But that being said, I gotta admit, Cate Blanchett, I do think gives the better performance. And if she wins, completely cool with it. I completely understand. I'd be a little bit disappointed just because it's not my personal pick, but I do think it would be a worthy win. So with those two out of the way, let's talk about Andrea Riseborough for To Leslie. Holy shit. So in my reaction to the nominees, I was saying that I think she definitely deserved it just because this is a new way of campaigning. And I stick true to that just because I do like
when people crack the system in a way that, heck, even the Academy now is like researching to make sure no shenanigans happen. They're like, hey, how did this occur? Do we need to change the rules? So to make such a big splash like that the Academy has to kind of look back at the rules, I think is brilliant. And true enough, I think she gives a fucking great performance into Leslie. Now, is it, as some people were putting it, the best female performance ever put on camera? No, not at all. She doesn't revolutionize this type of character. Future actresses don't really need to look at this performance and take snippets from it to work into their performance. There's nothing like that there. It's a solid performance. It's a good performance. One that I do think is worthy of the nomination, but if you look at the campaigning, it actually is kind of disgusting, where you get people saying the same thing, like posting the same tweets, the same messages. It's almost like those clips of like different news stations saying the exact same thing, as if they're like taking the notes, giving it to the next person, and just reading off of that same cue card. And it kind of makes you think, oh, it's all phony and fake. We already know Hollywood is phony and fake, but good Lord, you watch all those clips back to back, and it kind of turns your stomach. Especially the disgusting ones like, oh, well, Daniel Deadweiler and Viola Davis are guaranteed to give it in, so you should definitely put Andrea at number 1. And it's fucking bullshit like that I think that's what really pisses people off, and it pisses me off as well. The fact that this campaigning might have led to those two actresses not getting in is really maddening. So I understand. If I'm just looking at Andrea's performance, though, I do think she does a good job. I do think she is worthy of the nomination. It's just when you take a look at everything in hindsight, and when you look at all those clips, and they're all white, so, it's not a good look. That being said, I think more than anything, Michelle Williams and Ana de Armas are more the ones that I think could have been cut and replaced with the other two. I think that would have been a much better choice there. To defend Michelle Williams a little bit, I'm not saying that's a bad performance. I do think it's good. Especially when you compare it to the other two, I don't think it's close whatsoever. And especially Ana de Armas, once again, I don't think she does a bad job. But first and foremost, you gotta sit through Ballot to watch her performance, and that itself isn't a very fun thing to do. And second, I don't know much about Marilyn personally. I know they always kind of portray her with this kind of wispiness, where everything she says sounds like it's a question. And I'm sorry, 3 hours of that, I can't do it. I barely managed to get through it. I don't want to have to tell people, hey, sit through this 3-hour thing just to watch this performance. So I think those two could have easily been cut and replaced with Viola and Daniel. I think they were much better choices. And yeah, this is kind of going to what I said a long time ago, where I fucking hate the whole, there's always 5 nominees here, there's always 10 in Best Picture, so on and so forth. I fucking hate that cap on the number. Everyone should just vote, and if you get past a certain amount or something of that nature, I don't know, just come up with a system where more than 5 can get in. I mean, if there's like 8 freaking solid performances, there should be 8. And if you had like 8 here, and then both Danielle and Viola got in, I think there would have been less of a stink about this whole thing, just because now they're in, people can vote for them, they have more of a shot. So rant aside now, that being said, I still think Michelle and Kate, and good Lord, I don't know if Andrea has a shot, but with everything that's going on now, it makes me kind of worried, because while I don't think it would be a terrible win, I think there's definitely more people more deserving than her this year. Oh yeah, I promise not to get too in debt like that for the rest of them. I'll move a little bit faster. So, actor. For me, Colin Farrell, I think, knocked it out of the park. Even on my first watch of that film where I said I thought it was just a solid flick, to me, I think he did an amazing job, and I thought he was very worthy of the nomination. And now having seen all the performances, I think I would like him to win. Followed by Paul Mescal. The only thing here with Paul is that it's a very subdued performance, and I think that's what's brilliant about it, is because when you read stories or hear of reports about people who are suffering from a depression, it's something that you don't ever see. It's something that is haunting just that person and that person alone, and the people around them don't realize it. And that's what makes that performance so great. And like, you feel it. There's something there, but you're not quite sure. And then when it comes to light what it is, you're like, oh man, I get it now. So to me, I think that's a great performance, and I think it'd be worthy of the win, but I get it. It's way too subdued. I think he actually is probably number 5 on a lot of people's voting pick. But for me, I think he's great. Brendan Fraser would be at my number 3. I know a lot of people really want him to win. I think he's good, but my problem with that performance is it felt like it was just Brendan Fraser, but just really emotional, like a really good emotional Brendan Fraser. And as such, I came out of it going, man, he can cry, but that's kind of all I had to say about it. So I know. I'm sure I'll get some flack for that one. I know there's a little bit more to it than that. It's just kind of my train of thought as I left the movie. Again, I don't think he's bad. I think he's worthy of the nomination. I'm very glad he got nominated. If he wins, I wouldn't be upset. He wouldn't be my number 1 pick. Austin Butler, I think he's really good. I think if it weren't for him, that movie would be nowhere near as entertaining as it was. So I don't think it would be a bad pick to go that route, although he's my number 4 for a reason. And lastly, I will put Bill Nighy at number 5 for Living. It's a very sweet performance, but I don't know, especially when you kind of compare it to all the others, it's definitely the one that to me made less of a splash, even though I still really did enjoy that performance. Okay, for supporting actress, I actually agree with what everyone's saying about Angela Bassett. I think she's fucking fantastic in just pretty much every scene she's in. I think every scene she's in, you're paying attention. They're the strongest parts of the film. She has a goddamn great speech. You don't even need to watch the movie for that speech. Just watch the freaking trailer, and it makes you emotional just watching the trailer. So yeah, I'm holding on board with her winning. She would definitely be my pick. If not for her, I would definitely say Stephanie. I think Stephanie Hsu is fantastic in Everything Everywhere All at Once. She's definitely the one that made my heart twinge the most, and I think a lot of younger people are really going to connect with her and what she's feeling. I think she's very much of like just the very tip of my generation, but especially from what I see, like kind of like the generation right after mine. I see a lot of people talking very similarly to the things that she says she's feeling. So I do think a lot of young people are going to connect with her. And because it's a bunch of young people, obviously, I don't think the older crowd's quite going to understand as much. So I don't think she's going to win, but I do think she's very, very good, and I would personally be voting for her. Hong Chow, also very good in The Whale. I think she outshines Brendan, if I'm being completely honest, but I like Stephanie and Angela a little bit more there. Carrie Condon, I think, does a very good job, but I think when you're comparing it to the other ladies on here, I think it can seem a little bit underwhelming. And then Jamie Lee Curtis. Look, I'm glad she got in, but I do think this is the weakest out of all of them. It's a fun performance, and that's about it. And then, of course, there's supporting actor. I think we're all on the same page. Ki Hugh Kwan needs to win this one. Number 1 there. I would go for Brendan Gleeson next. I do think he's really good, followed by Barry Keoghan. Honestly, I think this is just the order of how everybody would vote. I think this is actually just my regular predictions in the order that I would rank them in. Maybe I would swap out Judd Hirsch with Brian for next month, just because I think in general that's how people are going to think. But I personally like Brian Tyree Henry more than Judd Hirsch. First, Judd Hirsch did great, but he's only in it for like a small little bit. Brian has the whole film to kind of show what he can do, and he brings it. Just for me personally, I enjoyed the other performances a little bit more, but I'm very, very glad he got in. This is one that I was secretly hoping for, and I was very excited when it actually finally did happen. Original screenplay, of course, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think it's bloody brilliant. That would be where I would pick, and then yes, of course, right after that one is The Banshees of Inisherin. The rest are just in the order that they are. I won't go too in-depth with these ones. Just to me, those top 2, I feel, would be the strongest picks there. For adapted screenplay, personally, I really liked Glass Onion. I laughed. I was following the story the whole way through. I liked the dialogue to it. So it's just what appeals to me more. I get more people are probably going to go for Women Talking, and I don't think that would be a bad pick either. That's probably the one's going to win. And I for me, that would be my personal number 2, but would be very okay with Women Talking winning there. For film editing, of course, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Just be prepared. I'm going to have everything at my number 1 for a lot of categories here. This one's followed very closely by Top Gun Maverick. I think either of those two would be very solid wins. Production design, I would go Babylon here. I'm on board with just the sets, the decorations. It looks like old Hollywood, at least from the few things I've seen portrayed of it. So yeah, I am completely on board with that one. And then cinematography. This was supposed to go to Top Gun, and I was completely on board with that one. But now, yeah, I actually have not made up my mind. You probably see what my pick is here, but I'm kind of at a toss-up between All Quiet on the Western Front and Bardo. I'm not a big fan of the movie Bardo, but good lord, from scene 1, you're like, holy shit, that's cinematography. And then just All Quiet on the Western Front has some really good moments that like just suck you right in. And I think you can contribute the cinematography to just why some of those scenes are so epic. I would like to say All Quiet, but I think I'm going to go Bardo on this one. So just the way my mind works, from scene 1. When you say just from scene 1, just how great the cinematography is, I think that just goes to show that is the first thing you think of when you see that film. Yeah, I'm gonna go Bardo there. Costume design is gonna go to Everything Everywhere All at Once. What a shock! To me, I think this is a sleeper. I think come Oscar Day, people are gonna be putting Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which is my number 2, no doubt. I think it would be a very worthy win. And then everything gets its name called, and people are just gonna do those. Holy shit! What the fuck? I can't believe it! Right? It was supposed to go to Black Panther. Can't you just see Oscar night going that route? I feel everything could be a very sleeper hit here. There's just so many goddamn costumes in that movie where I think if you were just to sit down, the people who are voting and just be like, look, here are all of our costumes, I think that's when people go like, oh shit, there's a lot more than I originally thought. And some of them are very grand costumes. So to me, I think that'd be a very good win. But yes, Black Panther, my number 2, I think it'd also be a very good win. I probably will predict that one because I think that's a smarter choice, but if I were voting, definitely Everything. Makeup and hairstyling, I'm gonna go with The Whale here. I remember the very first moment that I'm like, whoa, was when Brendan gets up from the freaking couch and you just see like this whole being and you're like, holy crap, that's impressive. So yes, I think the makeup is the most impressive thing about it. The prosthetics, it's really fascinating. It grabs your attention. How the hell is that not winning? So there's that for you. Batman would be my number 2. I think what they did with Colin Farrell as the Penguin was very, very well done. Funny enough, I know Elvis is kind of the front runner right now, but out of all of them, I think that's one of my least... It's one of the ones that I was least impressed with. I get, wow, they made him look like Elvis, and then there's a bunch of other makeup and shit like that, and then Tom Hanks's prosthetics and making him look fat. Cool, great, it did what it was supposed to do, but have you seen the fucking whale? Come on now. Animated feature film. I gotta go with Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. I love these type of films, ones that talk about life, ones that talk about the passage of life, where we may be in our own current moment, mortality, things like that. It's just a subject that I'm very fascinated in. Like, some people may be interested in like war, maybe some people are interested in like reporter journalism type things. For me, it's always been about life in general. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I personally would be voting for it. Puss in Boots, close second. I think that movie's great. It's very funny. It's one of the few ones on here that I've seen multiple times. So there's that for you there. International feature film, you'll notice I have some in red, and the reason for it is because I've not seen these yet. That's right, up to this point I've seen everything. This is the first group of nominees that I'm missing some. I want to get to them. Hopefully they do before the Oscars come out, but for now, unfortunately, I cannot count Close, EO, or The Quiet Girl just because I don't really have an opinion on them. All Quiet on the Western Front in Argentina 1985 I have seen, and out of those two, All Quiet on the Western Front. Yes, I do think that's the superior film. For documentary feature, you'll notice, once again, I've got 3 that I've not seen. All That Breeds, All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, A House Made of Splinters. All That Breeds just came out on HBO, so I will definitely be checking that one out pretty soon. But from the 2 that I've seen so far, Fire of Love is my favorite, and that's the one that I would vote for. For sound, I would go the Batman, just because I liked that product overall, and I do think it has unique sounds. I can't tell you what musical instruments or objects were used to make the sounds. I'm not some sort of expert on that field, but for me personally, I just like the whole gadgety and the electronics of the Batman, personally. I think with a lot of the other ones, like with Avatar, yeah, you got unique sounds, but I don't know, they're like made up sounds. I can't tell you if that's what they would sound like or not. Top Gun Maverick, it's just fucking planes. And don't get me wrong, it's done well, but we've heard planes before. I don't know. That's just kind of what I got with those ones here. For score, I would go Babylon. I listened to the soundtracks to every single one of them, and I will tell you right now, a lot of them bored me. Babylon was the one that kept my attention the longest. So yes, I do think the score for Babylon is fucking fantastic. And just the soundtrack in general, I think is very solid. For song, you will notice I have applause from Tell It Like a Woman in Red. But with this category, I don't think it matters whether I've seen the movie or not, just because it's about the song. Plus, nobody's fucking seen Tell It Like a Woman. It's just impossible to watch. So, yeah, there's that for you. But I'm on board. I think Not To definitely deserves the win. It is my favorite out of all of them. The rest are kind of just the rest. There are some I like Lift Me Up Enough. I just think it's too repetitive. Hold My Hand is fine. It's kind of whatever. And then Applause and This Is a Life aren't my personal favorites, so they're just at the bottom there. You could easily swap either or out, and it's the same thing to me. Visual effects, Avatar: The Way of Water. I mean, come on, look, I know you might not like the film. I personally thought it was whatever, but you gotta give it visual. Just don't be a fucking dick. It is the most visually impressive film. It might not be my favorite out of all the ones that are nominated here, but it is the most impressive. So yeah, I think whoever doesn't vote that way, man, they gotta hold some sort of grudge here. I don't know. Animated shorts, the only one I haven't had a chance to see is An Ostrich Told Me the World is Fake, and I think I believe it. I think it's the one that I've noticed most people have not been able to see just because you can't find it anywhere. But that one aside, I think My Year with Dicks is what I would personally vote for. I get most people really like The Boy, The Mole, The Fox, and the Horse. I think it's a strong film and probably the one that will win, but I even liked Ice Merchants more than that one, if I'm being completely honest. It didn't touch me as much as I thought it was going to. Those honors definitely went to My Year of Dicks and Ice Merchants. And then The Flying Sailor, I didn't care much for it, so it's at the bottom. Documentary short, I've seen them all except How Do You Measure a Year? So again, just like with An Ostrich, it's just one that you can't really find anywhere right now. But personally for me, I think Stranger at the Gate is the best out of this whole lineup. Very, very good story in the way that it moves. I went into it not knowing what it was about, and I think that was the best way to go into it. Haul Out, I'm not a huge fan of Haul Out in sense of how it's portraying its story, but I will admit, them seals and walruses are fucking adorable, so there's that for you. Martha Mitchell Effect, Elephant Whispers, so on and so forth. Lastly of all, live action short. There are 3 I have not seen yet. That's An Irish Goodbye, Eviloo, and The Red Suitcase. Once again, you just can't find these anywhere. I don't like Night Ride. I think that one's very meh. So I have to just automatically go with Le Pupille. That one is fine as well, but I definitely liked it more than Night Ride. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I would personally vote for if I were the one that was picking the winners. I am not, though. Some of you may be going, thank goodness for that. And for that, we have next month's final Oscar predictions. Now, for whatever reason, this is your first video of mine. Just a quick summary of what's coming next. I'm doing my road to the Oscars. I'm actually doing a bunch more videos in between that, but for you Oscar people who are following me just for that, my road to the Oscars is next. I'm going to be reviewing one film that won Best Picture every single day leading up to my final predictions. That is going to be the day before the Oscars. Then the Oscars happen. I will be recording a reaction, and then that video will hopefully go up the next day. And if not the next day, then definitely the day after. But yeah, man, it's been a goddamn long journey. There's still a lot coming your way. I know a lot of people are trying to take this time to kind of cool down, watch the Oscar films. Do that. I know I personally am. And you know, not really pulling up a lot of videos, but I'm the complete opposite. I actually start cranking them out a lot faster at this point in time just because there's so much to talk about. And once the Oscars are over, your mind kind of gets tired of speaking about it because you're ready for next year's Oscars. So I'm the same way. Get ready, guys. We got a lot of things to discuss. Keep a lookout for those videos. And until next time, stay safe out there and have a good one.